Wow, so Don Lemon fired from CNN. Tucker Carlson quits Fox. The times they are a changing. Is this just another cheap way to cash in on the new headlines and ride a new trend, a cheap way to get subscribers? Yes, it is. So please subscribe today so you can see all my amazing content. But not only that, I've been watching CNN every single day for many years, since approximately 2017. I'm disabled, so I'm stuck at home a lot, and I watch CNN all day long. And I also watch MSNBC. Um, I don't want to sound like the CNN zombie here. I also cross-reference everything. I read multiple newspaper sources. Uh, I check a lot of um, different websites. I read medical journals, police reports, um, and there's a lot to that. For example, um, during the pandemic, I was telling people to sell their concert tickets in February of 2020, and they all laughed at me. And then we saw what happened. And if you want to talk about people that are criticizing Black Lives Matter and the protests, if you do a lot of research and Google police arrest outsiders, what you'll find is a lot of accelerationism and a lot of people, white MAGA Republicans, coming down from the suburbs and lighting stuff on fire and blaming the black people and saying, oh, these looters. I'm not saying that no black people did anything wrong ever, but I'm saying there was a nationwide effort to slander the Black Lives Matter protests, which want to stop police brutality, and the judicial system, which lets the murderers off the hook over and over again, which is the only issue. So there's a lot of police reports that have nothing to do with any newspaper or any side of the story. You could just go find the news reports or the police reports of the police arresting outsiders coming in. And so anyway, and then the medical journals from Washington State that were back in 2020, which were showing there was first 7 people were infected with coronavirus, and you could just read the actual Washington State medical journal versus getting the reports, and oftentimes the CDC would be 3 days behind uh, what was going on. I would hear the news slower than the information that I had already known. So anyway, I just wanted to pre-qualify a little bit why I feel qualified to talk about the news, and it's not only a cheap way to get subscribers, but please subscribe today because I'm disabled and I would like to monetize myself. Look, I'm a funny guy. I'm honest. I'm kind. I'm hilarious. So, and I know a lot about this stuff. So I just thought I'd weigh in. A lot of people are out there want to know what I think, and want to know what I think about Lemon. The news is, well, first is Don Lemon got fired and Tucker Carlson quit. Um, I do watch CNN every day, but I don't agree with everything on CNN. I think they lean towards Joe Biden too much. I would like Bernie Sanders, and only a couple people on CNN seem to support Bernie Sanders. Everything else was Biden, Biden, Biden. Similarly, MSNBC, take note, they were similarly the same way. Only I think Ryan and Maddow seem to like Rachel Maddow seemed to like Bernie Sanders. Everyone else was Biden, 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 which was really annoying. But just because uh, just because I watch Fox News, it doesn't make me Fox News is an infomercial for Trump, which is why all this has happened. And unfortunately, they're not a news network. They are like a worldwide wrestling, it's like an infomercial for the Republicans, which is fine if that's what you want. But do you remember when there was only three networks in Fox News? Fox was trying to become the fourth network desperately, and that's when they first started buying sports and getting involved in sports to try to become a main network. And now they're running news, but they're still not a main network, and this is really making them amateur. And at least on CNN, even though they're kind of a Democratic leaning, they're more likely to bring in a Republican to argue with. The Fox News will also bring in a Democrat to their credit. Now, that being said, if you're watching Fox News and they tell you a tornado's coming down I-95, then listen to them and do what you need to do to survive a tornado. If CNN's telling you that, there's a hurricane coming, then you want to listen to the news. You don't want to ignore the news, but at the same time, if they're giving you an opinion piece, you need to learn to separate opinion from news, and not everything is breaking news. I think that CNN overuses that breaking news thing way too much, like everything is breaking news. And why do you need to have the same story repeated all day? Like, it's like this next hour is they're going to talk about the same exact news that they talked about the previous hour. So I think what would be nice for CNN if they had a national news where they tap into every city and let you know what's going on around the nation. You know what I mean? And maybe in an even more unbiased an hour where they have Republican and Democrat square off a little more. And always remember that you're supposed to meet in the middle. It's not supposed to be so black and white that this is what you believe and this is what I believe and screw the other side. It's supposed to be, I represent these people, you represent those people, and where can we agree? What's the common ground? Where can we meet in the middle? That's why they meet in DC. It's supposed to be neutral ground. And where do we meet in the middle? What can please both my constituents and your constituents? Because we're not enemies and we'd have different opinions that we want to share. And you're not supposed to all agree. The unified party. It's not supposed to be a unified party. It's supposed to be disagreements within the party, sharing ideas. It's supposed to be a sharing of an idea. It's not supposed to be a unified party. What is this? Fucking Russia or fucking, some autocratic bullshit. You're supposed to have disagreement. This whole Republican trying to be a unified party is complete fucking high Hitler type of bullshit, like thank goodness you have little Susan Collins and fucking pardon my language here, Mitt Romney, who are not afraid to stand up for the other side, and Liz Cheney are not afraid to speak the simple truth, that they know someone's lying, because they either want to get what they want or they're afraid to be blasted by almighty Trump, in the media, so they just do whatever he says. But it was never supposed to be that way. It was supposed to be where people, and I'm registered independent, by the way. They're supposed to meet in the middle, And so anyway, I think CNN is biased towards the left, and I think Fox News is extremely just a straight up infomercial. I think CNN's a little more neutral. MSNBC is the most neutral. And I do tune into Fox too to see what they're going to say. Oftentimes, I know more about a situation than Fox News knows itself. Then I'll argue with a Republican, and I know the Republican issue more than they know the issue. Like, I watch Fox News more than they do, even though I don't agree with it. And that's another important takeaway, that you don't want to just assume things. You don't want to get your memes, your news from Facebook and Twitter and memes. You want to actually watch and know what you're debating against. If you're going to say, oh, this news, like what story specifically is fake? So anyway, Don Lemon was fired today, and I think it's good. I'm sorry. I do like Don Lemon. I think Lemon's pretty cool guy. He had been a pretty cool guy. I liked how he, over the years, I had become a fan. I liked how he was a champion for liberal rights, and I like how they had uh, you know, LGBT and an African American leader, but I think he got a little too egotistical. He got a little too full of himself at being the host of that show. There were rumors that he was using his power in the club to like pick up people, and that's just not cool at all. So when I started to hear this, I started to get a little turned off of Don Lemon, and then they demoted him to the morning show, which I kind of liked the morning show how it was before, even though it's hard to compete with Morning Joe because Morning Joe and Minka are really good. Even though I don't like how they have, hey, Joe Scarborough, if you're watching, I think, is it Scarborough and Minka, Joe and Minka? Is it Anyway, I think they should have a black person on in the morning instead of the two white guys, John Lemire and the other. They're like clones. It's like having three. It's like having three Joes on the show. Have a black guy and Joe. I think you're a little dated sometimes when Al Sharpton's on the show and you're going, uh, hey, James Brown, Martin Luther King, Jackie Robinson. Hey, I mean, it's great to give black people their history, but can you treat Al Sharpton just like he's a regular person on the show? Like, do you have to like give him like the black announcement every single time? Like, now let's get the black people opinion. Hey, Jonathan Lemire, the regular opinion. Like, it just comes off of that way a little bit. I'm not saying Scarborough's racist, but he does come from the Republican side, and maybe there's a little something there that I can't put a finger on, and so I just think they should have, and they do have a diverse MSNBC's diverse. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I don't like the way Joe and Al Sharpton. I'd like to see a more black representation on the NBC morning show. And with that being said, when Don Lemon came over to the morning show, um, I thought it was a little awkward. This is all unscripted, by the way. I thought it was a little awkward, and I thought it was definitely a demotion, probably from, well, there was a Cuomo mess, and Cuomo disappointed me when he was broing it up with his bro, and because I thought Cuomo did a good job during the pandemic. Even the governor did a decent job during the pandemic, but then when it came out he was abusing his power, it was clearly true, and that they have a kind of a misogynistic bro, and I guess Don Lemon is kind of a bro like that too, like a mansplaining bro. And so they sent Don Lemon down to the morning show with Caitlin Collins, who's trying to make a name for herself, and she's all right. She's she covers the Washington, and she does a pretty good job. And is that Poppy Harlow in the morning? She does a pretty decent job. I think she's strong. She's not a pushover, and she's tries to stand up to Don Lemon. It's just like an awkward dynamic because you have this kind of homosexual guy who's also a bro, and he's like on the show, and he's made some remarks, like he said that he thought that Nikki Haley was past her prime, and what he was, a woman's sexual prime is 40, and she's like 50. So he was trying to make a really, really bad joke because Nikki Haley said something about Biden being past his prime, despite the fact Trump is also that age. And I think Biden's doing an okay job trying to clean up Trump's mess. He's not my favorite president in the world, but I do like him. I do like Joe Biden. I think he's a fairly nice man. I think they seem like a nice family. He seems like he cares. I'm a little more progressive, obviously. I mean, not that just because I'm a hippie, but like I was hoping for Bernie Sanders. But in any case, I think Biden's okay. But the morning show was always a little awkward. and even though Poppy's not afraid to stand up to him, uh, and so um, Don Lemon said she's past her sexual prime, and that was really awkward because the women are like, what does that have to do with anything? And it's just kind of like a bro moment and uh, like a frat fraternity moment. It didn't go over well and didn't sit well with me. And so you have these allegations of him using his power, getting dropped down, and then he's bickering. And then if you look up Caitlin Collins went and got an interview with a Republican, and Don didn't seem to like it, and Poppy was defending him, and they had an awkward exchange. So it was just this awkward tension the whole time. And you did get the feeling that Don Lemon was uh, the big heady, wannabe Anderson Cooper level guy who got dropped down to with these lonely up and coming women, and he should be the star. And even the way he was sitting like smack in the middle with them on the side, it was just awkward all around. I enjoy the morning show with Joe a lot more, even though I think they do need a more African American uh, person on there more regularly. Um, yeah, I mean, if you have way too early with Jonathan Lemire, why don't you have him drop at 6 and have a black person? And I liked when they had the woman. I'm not against Jonathan Lemire, don't get me wrong, but I just I preferred the woman, and I think they could bring in a black guy in the morning. And the morning show was always a little awkward, especially the dynamic. Um, I like the evening show with what's her face in the evening. CNN evening show. What's her name? Not Erin Burnett, but CNN primetime. What's her name? Oh my gosh, Allison. I don't.